All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the show. You are now watching Pettynomics, and I am your host, PTE, also known as Permission to Exist. This is one of my satellite channels, one of my pet projects, and it's actually one of my favorite channels, and it's a lot of your favorite channel, too. So I'm really glad about that. Welcome to the show. You guys aren't used to me this early in the afternoon on Pettynomics. I usually do Pettynomics a little bit later at night, but I was inspired. I'm awake, which is important. And I really wanted to discuss this with you guys. I don't think this will be a super long show, but then again, you never know. You never know what pathway I'll end up traveling down. So, welcome everyone to the show. Just a few channel announcements, just so you'll be informed. There is a mailing list on the way, and it's almost set up. I'm almost done. So I know you guys, I know y'all have like a million different subscriptions from me. So totally optional, of course, and always, but there are some people who've actually specifically requested a mailing list for this channel. So I am in the process of setting that up. Once I have that set up, I will let you know, and it will be a different link than the other two. And then that's it. I promise. That's it for like a year. No more channels, no more mailing lists for like a year. Okay. And we'll just go from there. But a lot of you have asked for that. So I am working on that. And also, the live chat will more than likely disappear after about a day of it being up, just because I like to take out the intro song because it is kind of long. But I just put it there because it's a live stream and you want to give people an opportunity to get here, basically. But I do know on the replay, it's a little annoying to have to fast forward, even though I kind of like the song. I think it's kind of cute. I think it has a little bop. It bops. It's a bop. So, but I do just go ahead and take it out. So, those of you who do like to read the live chats, once they are up and processed, I leave them up for about 24 hours. And then I do take them down, not on purpose. They just disappear when we edit the live streams. Very unfortunate consequence of editing a live stream. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Chat says this is the only channel that actually gives me notifications. I swear it's so messed up. Like the notification system is completely insane. I don't know how it works. I don't even think YouTube knows how it works at this point because I get notifications for channels I'm not even subscribed to. Like I may have watched one or two of their videos, but then I get a notification as if I'm subscribed to them and I'm not. Because sometimes I'll go to I'm like, oh, I must have subscribed to them or something. Let me go unsubscribe. And then I go to do that, but I'm not subscribed in the first place. So I can't turn notifications off because I never turned them on. It's so weird. YouTube is a very strange platform. One that I do believe is in its death throes, in spite of what they would have you to believe otherwise. Okay. So welcome everyone. You get those random notifications. How strange. It's like you're gonna force them on me. Okay. I watched one video, just one. I didn't ask to be notified. I would have subscribed and signed up if that's what I wanted, but whatever. I guess they're working for someone. So, welcome to everyone. Glad that the notifications did go out for some of you. And they'll probably slowly, gradually trickle out as I get going here. Let's talk. Let's talk about an issue that's been being discussed this week. I don't know what's gotten into these people as of late, but it recalls or brings to mind the episode that we did about Kim Kardashian telling businesswomen that they need to get up and effing work. And it seems like nobody wants to work these days anymore. She actually let that come out of her mouth and was very, very sure about it when she said it. Like you could tell that it's almost like she had been really thinking about that for days. And it's like, as soon as I get up there for that interview, I'm just going to be like, you know what? No, F it, screw it. Like, I'm just going to go up there and be like, you know what? I'm just tired. Like, you just need to get up and effing work. Get off your butt and work. It seems like nobody wants to work these days. Like, she worked on that for days. I feel like she was dwelling on that for some days. So something got into her and enabled her to say that, which people still aren't happy about. Thank you. Somebody sent me. Oh, it's Malkina. Thank you, Malkina. Malkina sent me a Cash App. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I didn't recognize the screen name, but then I saw the note. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. I really, really do. So Kim got got inspired to say that. And I don't know if she inspired a whole bunch of other people or if something else has gotten into their system to make them suddenly start coming out with these random utterances. But this week, an economics professor published an opinion piece in Bloomberg. And I want to share that with you. And we're actually going to take a look at what this person allowed themselves to write and allowed themselves to publish to the greater internet. And more than that, what their editor allowed to clear the desk. Because let's never forget that most of these people have editors who have to basically give the thumbs up to their work. So it not only cleared the author's hands, but it cleared some editors' hands too. And at the end of it, you have to wonder, what exactly are they trying to accomplish here? What is the end goal of trying to convince people of what they're getting ready to try to convince us of? So let's take a look at what that is. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Exactly. The chat says, I'm staying with this lady, and it seems like all she talks about is nobody wants to work. It's right under the surface, like it's all she thinks about, and she doesn't work. LOL. I'm telling you, the people who think about this kind of stuff, it is right under the surface. And I'll have to dwell on it some more and give some more thoughts on it. But it's almost like they're very, very upset that there aren't enough people around to serve and service them and see to their needs and make sure that their needs are met. Or it's almost like they're having to do too much of their own work themselves. Something like that. Or it's just one of those beliefs that they like to dwell on to make themselves angry. Because I really do believe there are people out there like that. They just dwell on certain thoughts on purpose just to make themselves continuously angry all day, even though it's not necessarily rooted in truth or not true at all. They hold on to it though, they cling to it. So let's take a look at what caused all the ruckus this week, okay? When I first saw this making its rounds, I thought to myself, I thought it was a joke. You know how people make memes? I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was making a meme of Bloomberg saying, like, this is what a rich person would say to someone who doesn't have as much as them during times like these, trying to be like ironic. I promise you that's what I thought. It wasn't until I watched another creator's video when it finally clicked this was real. So, this is a real tweet on Bloomberg Opinion that was published on March 19th, 2022. So, just a few days ago. And it's linking to the article that we're getting ready to take a look at. And it says inflation stings most if you earn less than $300,000. Here's how to deal: take the bus, don't buy in bulk, try lentils instead of meat, and nobody said this would be fun. That's what they told us for how to deal with inflation. And literally, people have been dragging them ever since, and I'm going to drag them as well. So let's take a look at the actual article. But this was the tweet. I'm surprised they left it up because it really did not wash over well at all on the general population. When you think about everything that everyone's been through the past 2 years, the price of gas going up through the roof, rent's going up through the roof, you know what I mean? And then you want to publish something like this. And I really think it's that last line that sent people over the edge, that nobody said this would be fun. How very condescending, but thanks. Thank you for giving us these little peeks into your mind. We appreciate it so much because this is what we always suspected. And it turns out that for the most part, it's true what we thought about you. Okay. So here's the article. We're going to take a look at it. It was published by someone named Teresa Gilarducci. And Teresa is the Schwartz Professor of Economics at the New School for Social Research. She's the author of Rescuing Retirement and a member of the board of directors of the Economic Policy Institute. And Miss Teresa has been getting drugged this week. Absolutely drug, okay? Inflation stings most if you earn less than $300,000. Here's how to deal. Girl, that what a mistake. But again, I don't know what's gotten into these people lately. Something has gotten into them to make them come out of their mouths and like say this stuff. Like it's almost like everything that they've been harboring and holding on to like their whole lives is coming out right now. And maybe it's because they're feeling the pressure because the bottom is starting to fall out. And if the bottom falls out, well, eventually it is going to trickle up, basically. And it's going to start to impact them. And when you couple that with the great resignation, with people not wanting to work these jobs, even though they're paying $15 an hour, some minimum wage starting out $15 an hour, they can't attract the workers. They're losing people due to different things happening in the political sphere that I'm not going to get into because I got in trouble twice on my other channel. So I'm not even going to say anything remotely close. I'll just say that lots of companies had to let people, well, they didn't have to let these people go. They chose to let these people go due to a certain decision that these people made. And that's all I'll say. And if you know what I'm talking about, please don't say so in the chat. Okay. Just, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So they lost employees there. That made a lot of people salty and resentful. So now that the different requirements are dropping, they don't want to come back. And who would? So there's a lot of different things going on. I think it's starting to hit their pockets and they're getting upset. And that's why they're jumping out saying this type of stuff, making themselves look really, really, really stupid. All right. So let's take a look at the article that caused such a firestorm. And y'all are not going to believe some of the things that she says in here. All right. So it says more Americans than ever expect their finances to worsen as inflation hits a 40-year high. Do you really need that extra car? Girl, you're living in La La Land. La La Land. Published by Teresa Gilarducci, March 13th, 2022. Oh, she published this. She published it the 13th. They didn't do the tweet until the 19th. So they had 6 days to sit on this tweet and think about it. Because, sometimes they'll publish the article and then an hour later they tweet it out. They had 6 days to decide not to do this. They chose to do it anyway. Okay? So let's read the article. If your income is more than $289,000 a year, the run-up in gas prices may be alarming, but it's unlikely to hammer your overall finances. After all, Americans at that level spend no more than 1% of their take-home pay on gas and oil, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. For those earning much less, it's a different story. Those at the median, with income of about $50,000, spend more than 3% of it on gas and motor oil. Low-income households making between $7,000 and $19,000 spend about 9%. The latest inflation numbers show gas prices jumped 6.6% in February from a month earlier, even before President Joe Biden banned U.S. imports of Russian oil. Economists say the overall share of income spent on gas is lower than it used to be, and despite the increases, prices are still relatively low by historical standards. No, just wait. That's true, but it offers little consolation these days for someone on the lower end of the income distribution who drives to work. So I'm sorry, I have to say this. It's almost like she thinks everybody is making $300,000. This whole article is written as if everyone makes $300,000 or more. That's how she's writing. She's writing very matter of factly, as if she's speaking to a nation full of people who are all making over 300K. But then turns around and says the median is 50,000. Median means average, like the middle. So most people are making somewhere around 50,000. So where does she get off? Food prices are also up, posting their biggest monthly increase since April 2020. There, too, those making less than $19,000 spend much more of their income, almost 15%, compared with higher earners whose total food spending is just 4% of their income, which she doesn't even bother to tell us why that would be. Like, if you're going to write an article like this, you got to say why, because rich people and poor people both eat. So why are the rich spending less on food? If food costs the same and everybody eats, why would less of their money be going towards food? Are they starving themselves? Households with income of about $50,000 spend 8.5% of it on food. The most recent barometer of consumer sentiment showed the highest ever share of Americans expecting their finances to worsen in the coming year. About 54% think their incomes will lag behind inflation in the year ahead, a pretty high percentage historically. I expect those most affected will adjust to inflation in the classic way by shifting away from relatively expensive items towards close substitutes. Here are some ideas on how to reconfigure consumption and lessen the blow. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for all your wisdom that you're getting ready to share with us. But again, adjustment is hard for people without savings or choices. We know that. Girl, in times like these, you cannot write articles like this telling us things we already know. Like, wow, I didn't know adjustment would be harder if I don't have savings or choices. I never thought about that. Dummy, let's go. First, you have to know your budget and control your budget. These people are all the same. Oh, it gets better, y'all. We're getting there. Just give it a second. Budgeting takes effort, but it gives you power. And that power is even more important in inflationary times. Yeah? Do I have the power to lower my rent? Do I have the power to lower gas prices? Do I have the power to lower food prices? Do I have the power to lower my electric bill? Even if I'm energy efficient and I unplug everything, do I have the power to lower that? Hmm? All right, here she comes with the advice. To deal with gas prices, it's worth reconsidering public transportation if it's an option where you live. Fares are up about 8% compared with 38% for gasoline. Now may even be the time to sell your car. It certainly isn't the time to buy a new or a used one. Prices have stabilized a bit, but used car prices are still up more than 40% from a year ago, and new ones are up 12%. Like she's just saying it like she just got through telling us that poorer people use more gas. And I have to assume that's because they're driving to work more often. She just turned around and told these same people to sell the same car that takes them to work. Like, you don't think they thought about the bus before, the train, taxis, Uber. You don't think they thought about that. You don't think they considered that and perhaps weighed weighed everything and determined it's probably better for them to have a car than not. Or the fact that we've designed so many cities to be car dependent. So many cities are car dependent. There's lots of cities that don't have public transportation going out to where they are, but that's where the people live. They live in the outskirts, but public transportation doesn't go out that far. Don't get me started. Let's finish the article. So, her first piece of advice is to just sell your car. Sell your car. Here's her next piece of advice. When it comes to food, don't be afraid to explore. Prices for animal based food products will certainly increase. Ukraine and Russia supply a significant amount of corn and barley to the world market, mainly to feed livestock for human food. Meat prices have increased about 14% from February 2021 and will go up even more. Though your palate may not be used to it, tasty meat substitutes include vegetables, where prices are up a little over 4%, or lentils and beans, which are up about 9%. Plan to cut out the middle creature and consume plants directly. It's a more efficient, healthier, cheaper way to get calories. So basically, she just told you to drop the meat and eat vegetables and basically it's time to become an herbivore. All right. Drop the she just and she said cut out the middle creature and consume plants directly. So just give up your meat. So far, sell your car, give up your meat. This is her advice so far. Let's keep going. Oh boy. And stay away from buying in bulk. You usually don't save any money by buying more. Sure, there may be great deals, but most consumers wind up falling for the tricks that entice them to spend more. Things like offering free samples, which often leads to impulse buying, or placing discounted big ticket items near the entrance. If you absolutely must buy in bulk, try to do it with a friend so you can split some of the costs and ensure everything gets eaten or used. I have a special bit of commentary on this, so I'm just going to move on because I'm going to speak on this at length here in a second. So far, she says sell your car, stop eating meat, and grub out on beans and lentils, and don't buy in bulk, right? What else? What else you got for us? What was her name again? Who cares? Teresa or something? I don't know. What else you got for us, Teresa? Aside from being more thoughtful about, hold on one sec, sorry. Aside from being more thoughtful about purchases, it's also prudent to think about unnecessary charges. So review your credit card to make sure there aren't any unwanted recurring ones. Okay, but what if I can't get out of them? Like, she says it as if we can just get out of them. Like, I got some unwanted recurring charges, but I can't get out of them. Like, she doesn't seem to understand there's a lot of force. There's a lot of force, coercion, and threats involved in some of this stuff. Oh, here we go. You ready? If you are one of the many Americans who became a new pet owner during the pandemic, you might want to rethink those costly pet medical needs. It may sound harsh, but researchers actually don't recommend pet chemotherapy, which can cost up to $10,000 for ethical reasons. On top of this whole article just being just insensitive trash, it's also very bizarre. This is also a very, very bizarre, strange article. And part of what makes it so bizarre and strange is this part right here. You just told people if they just became new pet owners, if something happens to their pet, basically don't spend that money to save their life, essentially. But why are you jumping to chemotherapy though? My God. Like you just said, if you are one of the many Americans who became a new pet owner during the pandemic, meaning within the last 2 years, damn, you already need chemotherapy for your pet that quick? Girl, we're still on like we're still on like early pet puppy visits. Why are you jumping to chemotherapy? Yeah, don't come for the pets. We already had this discussion. I think it was on my other channel, A Deeper PTE. We already had don't girl. Now you're crossing. I really believe this is what sent people over the edge right here. Between the whole nobody said it was going to be fun and telling people that if your pet that you love needs some sort of help, basically don't help them. Rethink those costly pet medical needs. It may sound harsh, but researchers actually don't recommend pet chemotherapy, which can cost up to $10,000. Darling, who needs chemotherapy in the first 2 years of their pet's life? What are y'all doing to your animals? If she had said something like, rethink those costly trips to the groomer, or rethink puppy daycare or doggy daycare, which they do have in some cities. You can take your pet, drop them off for the day at daycare, and then you go pick them up. And I think it's cute and kind of funny. That would make more sense. Rethink those costly toys or rethink those costly pet beds that we tend to buy for our animals, or that expensive leash or that expensive harness. That makes more sense. But for you to jump out there again, you jumped out there again, talking about rethink costly pet medical needs. Researchers don't recommend pet chemotherapy. Girl, what are you talking about? Yeah, she's whacked out. Like, what are you what are you talking about? Like, it's literally mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I'm surprised she didn't finish that sentence by simply saying, you could also always surrender your pet to a local non-kill shelter to save money. Like, you might as well just put that in there. You could also always surrender your pet to a local nonprofit non-kill shelter to save money. Sure, it'll be sad to see Fido go, but Fido doesn't want to see you broke. Yeah. Chat said just stop living, basically. Basically. We're going to talk strategy though. Stick around because once I'm done breaking this apart, we're going to talk through some strategy. I was going to make this a private invite only strategy session, but I don't care anymore because it'll take them a long time to pivot. And by then the message is already gone out. So we're going to talk some strategy here at the end, but let's keep going. So what did she say so far? Sell your car, stop eating meat, don't buy in bulk. And basically, if your pet needs chemotherapy right now, just basically let him or her die. Let him die. All right. Coping with inflation could mean drastic actions or small ones. There are lots of ways people can duck and dance around relative price changes. The Bureau of Labor Statistics found people in recessions hold off on buying cars, furniture, and appliances. Though they don't cut back on travel, they do cut back on restaurants. I noticed you didn't tell people not to travel. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly what it says. It says, though they don't cut back on travel, they do cut back on restaurants. So why aren't you telling people not to travel? You're telling people don't get their animal medical attention, but you haven't said anything about not traveling, don't go to concerts, gyms, restaurants, bars, and movie theaters. You ain't said nothing about that. Clothes. She didn't say anything about clothes shopping. And then here's how she's going to finish out this article. Try to be as flexible and creative as possible. Scientists tell us our brain plasticity will improve by trying novel things. God almighty. God help us, God. The NPCs have taken over. There's an advantage to mixing up what you consume to cope with unusual price spikes. You become more resilient as you create a locus of control and interrogate your habits. And that's it. That's it. That's where she drops you off and leaves you. How to deal with inflation. That literally was it. It almost sounds like she woke up in the middle of the night after having some weird lucid dream, wrote this article and submitted it and didn't really, really, truly think twice about what she had just written. Okay. So let's go back to the top and let's just break this apart. Then we are going to have a brief strategy session and then we're going to get out of here. Okay. So her name was Teresa. Teresa, girl, and her email is at the bottom of this article. I might email her and let her know how I feel about her work here. So, wow, where do I even start? So she starts off by jumping way high and basically saying if you make $289,000 or more per year, you're not going to feel the spike in gas, which you probably don't feel a lot of things. You will, though. If you keep turning a blind eye to this and saying, well, we're okay, we're fine, we're insulated, we're good, we have money, it won't be long until eventually it's too expensive for you also. Because that is the nature of this thing. It just keeps eating and eating and eating until it's eaten everything in its sight, in its path, like a little goat. So you okay be like, well, we're fine, we're okay, we can absorb that extra, keep absorbing that extra until it finally reaches your doorstep, because it will, and it's on its way. Then she says for those earning less, it's a different story. Those at the median with income of about 50,000. So if you know that that's the median, why would you even start your article out like this? Like, what about everyone in between? So if you're making $100,000 a year, you're not doing that good. $150,000 a year, you're not doing that good. It sounds like even if you're making $200,000 a year, according to this article, you're not doing that good. That means most of us, according to her, would be considered poor, according to her. So if you're making like $90,000 a year, you're poor, according to this woman. So let's keep going. So those sitting at the median, which is the middle, she starts talking about how much they spend on gas, and then people in the low income bracket spend the most on gas. Doesn't talk about why, doesn't say this is the reason why low income households spend more on gasoline. Just says it like it's so matter of fact and just a way of life. Like, yes, in low income households spend about 9% on gas and oil. Okay, why? Why do the rich spend less on gas and motor oil, and why do the poor spend more? Why? Are gas prices higher in lower income neighborhoods and lower in higher income neighborhoods? Could that possibly be a reason? Why? Is it because so many people in lower income neighborhoods work in locations so far away from their house that they got to spend a lot of money to get there? Is that why? And their company offers them no gas stipend, which they really should. Is that why? Like, let's talk about why that is. Like, you can't just skate over facts like this and just state them matter of factly. It's almost like saying, yes, on average, 20 people starve on the street every evening. On Thursday evenings, about 14 people starve, but on an average night, about 20 people starve on the street every evening. In sports news, like, you can't just skate over that. Why? And then she says it was going up even before Biden banned Russian oil, which everybody knew. Everybody knew that. So I love how they're trying to blame everything on this conflict right now. Gas prices were already going up, honey. They were already on the way up. And then this happened, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's that guy over there. It's him. He did it. It's like, no, 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 no. But what they have discovered about the population is the population absolutely flaps in the wind. The population flaps in the wind. They believe absolutely everything that they hear, and they just go in the direction that they're told to go. So if they're told it's his fault, gas prices are going up, they're like, his fault, his fault. We hate you. And then a month from now, when they say, oh, actually, we did the analysis, it wasn't his fault, it was her fault. Her. We hate you. Like, masters of deflection, baby. The masters of deflection. But anyway, so then she goes on to say that overall share of income spent on gas is lower than it used to be despite the increases, but prices are still relatively low by historical standards. What is she talking about? Gas prices are at an all-time high. They've hit records. The last time gas prices hit records like these was in 2008 at $4.11 in California, I believe. That was the last record. So the record has officially superseded that. What does she mean? Prices are still relatively low by historical standards. Whose historical standards? What are you talking about? Okay, but whatever. So she's like, but that offers little consolation these days for someone on the lower end of the income distribution who drives to work. Yeah, you don't say. You don't say. So let's go. Food prices are also up. Here's another situation where she's saying essentially people who are wealthier spend less of their income on food, and people who are more impoverished spend more of their income on food. But why, though? You need to get into the why. If you're not going to tell us why, don't mention it. Don't say something. Don't say anything about it. Because otherwise, you're just stating it as if it's normal and regular and not something that should be rectified. But whatever. So she includes that, talking about food. Okay. Then she gives us a little doom and gloom, talking about how people expect it to get worse because they can do mathematics. There's something called math. They're just running a little math. And if things continue how they are, yeah, they're going to get worse unless some miracle comes along, or unless your federal government redirects some of this money that they have no problem giving to everybody else but you. No problem giving money to everybody else but you. They could wipe your debt out with one federal action. Could wipe your debt out. They could put money in your pocket. They could put some gas money in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like, they could send everybody in the country a gas card preloaded with $500 on it to use at the pump. Like, they could do anything, but they act like they're helpless when it comes to us. But when it comes to everybody else in the free world, it's like a blank check, basically. So anyway, unless some miracle comes along, yeah, a lot of people are expecting it to get worse because you all are determined to hold on to the same bad habits and the same bad behaviors that got us here in the first place. A topic that I'm mulling over for my other channel, A Deeper PTE, is just a simple theory that the earth has been here a very long time, which we know that. We know that there have been many civilizations to rise and fall, but basically my theory is essentially civilization always gets here, We always reach some technological peak. So when we look at the ancient ruins and things, we think, oh, we're so much more advanced than them. But do you know that? We don't know that. Yeah, we find artifacts and things and we can theorize, but we think, oh, they didn't have computers, they didn't have internet, they didn't have tech. And for all we know, they didn't. But how do we also not know they didn't just basically eradicate themselves on accident? I don't want to say the B word, but that they didn't, I'll say implode. There we go. They basically implode themselves. They reach a certain level of success that always involves tech, some sort of tech, but then they just take it too far. The human ego grows out of control and they implode every time. There's a few little remnants left over. They regenerate, they repopulate the earth. They start off primitive, they work through all the phases. They get to the industrial phase, then they get to the tech phase, implode every time. And I say that to say that it just feels like we're headed that way again. It feels like we're headed that way because we're not learning. We just simply, I feel like human beings are determined to go against the natural order of things. And we are determined to do things that make no sense. And we are determined to be more self-serving to our own detriment and to the detriment of everyone else around us, to the point where eventually our civilization implodes too. And it just starts over again. A couple 100,000 years go by, civilization rises again, they reach their peak, they fall. Anyway, I'm drifting off in other topics. Let's refocus. So she said, I expect that they will adjust to inflation in the classic way by shifting away from relatively expensive items towards close substitutes. So, girl, who do you think has expensive items? She keeps bringing up the lower income bracket between $7,000 and $19,000 a year. What are they buying that's expensive? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and also on top of that, you don't think people know that? Like, do you think, right, the chat says it's worded in a way that almost feels like it's our fault or something. It's very invalidating. Absolutely. She's basically blaming it on you. Like, yeah, prices are going up. And if you can't cope, well, you probably need to shift away from expensive items to close substitutes. Like, oh, I never thought about that. Wow, I never thought about that. I always buy the super luxury ultra lotion. So instead of the ultra super luxury lotion that costs $25 a bottle, maybe I should buy a $5.99 bottle of lotion if they're going to do the same thing for my skin. Oh my God, mind blowing. Let me go tell everybody I know. Hey guys, did you know that you can buy cheaper alternatives to expensive things that you use in your life? This is the end result of years of poorly written, ill thought out articles, sound bites, snippets. Like, you got people thinking this way now. They can't think all the way through. They think in these little weird catchphrasey type sound bites, and they can't they can't see their idea through to the very end. So now she's going to give us the ideas on how to reconfigure consumption. Oh, thanks. Because I hadn't already thought through those ideas. Can you reconfigure my rent? And then closes that out by saying the adjustment is hard for people without savings or choices. Yeah, we know that. Thank you for stating the obvious. She starts off with the most cliche piece of advice. I'm telling you, let me tell you something. Take this from me. Don't follow any financial guru whose first piece of advice to you is to get on a budget. And I'm going to tell you why. You are not 16. That's why. You're not 16 years old. That's why. So, unless their target audience is middle schoolers and high schoolers and like preteens, and you're in that bracket, you're good. You can take their advice because that's an appropriate audience. But if you are someone in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s and need to be told that you have to do a budget, you're done. You're already finished. And the truth of the matter is, God, this needs to be a separate show, and I actually might do this show. The concept of a budget is kind of backwards, because a budget assumes that, oh man, maybe I shouldn't drift off so I can get my thoughts together. When you're budgeting, it assumes that you have total control over how much things are going to cost. That's the problem with quote unquote budgeting. So the way they tell you to do it is at the start of each month or just before, you look at see it and see how much money you have coming in, then you allocate money towards certain things. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. You can't say, "Oh, I'm going to devote this much to this much to this much to this." That's called good intentions. And I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is if that's the first thing they're telling you at this age, don't trust them. We're well beyond that. We need to be getting into the deeper stuff. That's what you tell 16-year-olds who just got their first checking account. Yeah, they talk to us like we're dumb. Like some of you who came over from Permission to Exist might remember a live stream I did a year or two ago called Beware of the Subtle Serpent Financial Gurus. And it was a woman and a man. This man was interviewing this woman. And I was just so disappointed in this woman because I felt like she was intentionally like misleading her audience, basically. And that was one of the first things that came out of her mouth. He was like, "So what would you tell somebody who wants to get their financial house in order?" And she goes, "Very first thing, get on a budget." And I was like, I think my head exploded on that live stream because I knew she was going to say that, y'all. I knew she was. I knew it. Like I would have put money on, I would have bet any one of y'all, any one of you, without watching the video first, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be budget. So anyway, I'm actually on a different show. Let me save that for a different show. And I've actually already kind of done that show in a way. It's a video on this channel called Money Stalking, how I keep a close watch over my money. We'll talk about it. Let me move on because I'm getting triggered, okay? And then talking about power. That power is even more important in inflationary times. Girl, goodbye. So here we go. To deal with gas prices, it's worth reconsidering public transportation if that's an option where you live. Now may even be the time to sell your car. And her justification for that is that gas is up 38%, but fares are only up 8%. As if, as if, as if number one, people hadn't already thought about that. Like, man, I might have to get rid of this car. Man, I might have to get rid of the car. You know what I mean? Take the bus, take Uber. You don't think people already thought about that? Like, and on top of that, for people who have actively chosen not to take public transportation, you don't think people have thought about that as well? In particular, in cities where violent crime is up right now, where it's not necessarily safe to be riding around on a subway or a bus or just walking even down the street at certain times of night. You don't think that people have thought about that and said, you know what, it's probably a little bit safer for me to have my own car. Yeah, it's going to cost and yeah, it's expensive, but it's probably a little bit safer. Like, it's just amazing to me that this is the advice coming from an economics professor. Now may even be the time to sell your car or take public transportation. Like, I feel like this is the type of short-sighted advice that you often get truly from narcissists, but we're not on PTE, so I'll just save that chat. But from people who got nothing, basically. They got nothing. And they just jump to the most limited, simplistic, simplified conclusions you can possibly think of. And they are some of the most frustrating people to deal with because when you're talking to them, trying to explain your situation to them, their mind just automatically goes to well, you might need to, are you going to take public transportation? Did you think about public transportation? The same people who, when you're trying to buy a house and you get to talking about down payments and they go, well, can your parents help you? As if you hadn't thought about that already. And I love how they never say, are your parents still in your life? Do you have a good relationship with your parents? Do you think they'd be willing to help you? To me, that's more of a lot more logical progression to that point. But usually the conversation goes straight to, well, can your parents help you? And from now on, if I ever find myself in that situation again, I'll say, girl, how do you even know I talk to my parents? I was, I just thought maybe. No, well, you need to ask. Are your parents still in your life? Do you have a good relationship? Do you think they'd be willing to help you? They usually just jump straight to, do you think, will your parents help you? Like, it's insane. Like, these people are on autopilot, bots. Like, their brains are completely shot out, you guys. Their brains are roasted. They are roasted. And it's actually quite scary. But we can kind of see that in action because they can't plan. Like, part of planning is being able to look down the road, think about contingencies, and make plans based off of that. They can't do that, y'all. They can only think about 2 steps ahead. That's it. And about 3 steps back. So, anyway, let's continue. So, she gives us the super obvious, well, have you thought about public transportation? Nah. Nah, I never thought about public transportation. No. Never crossed my mind. Then from there, she goes on to say, don't be afraid to explore other foods, as if all we're doing, y'all, is sitting around eating T-bone steak, ribeye, importing importing the finest cuts of chicken and beef and pork and seafood, and just sitting around eating meat feasts every single night. Absolutely. The chat says it reminds me of the boomers blaming millennials and their avocado toast for our financial issues. I may not get rid of this live chat. Y'all, for those of you who don't like intro music, just remember you can fast forward because this live chat is a little bit too good. I don't want to lose it. So just remember you can fast forward. Just double tap your screen on the right if you're using your mobile phone. And if you're using your computer, you can hit the letter L on the replay and it'll scoot you ahead 10 seconds. So just fast forward, okay? Because I don't want to lose this live chat. It looks really good. But yeah, they blamed avocado toast for our financial issues. It's just hilarious. So it makes me think that she thinks the poor, which would be anybody making 50,000, really anyone making less than $289,000 are poor to her. We're living the high life, y'all. We don't eat beans already. We don't eat lentils already. We don't eat vegetables already. We eat meat every night, all night, nothing but meat. No side dishes, no bread, nothing. Just straight meat. Barbecue every night. Goofy. What a goof. Like, what an absolute goofball. What a nut job. Like, what do you think people are doing? I want to ask her so bad. Tell me what you think the average night looks like for someone making less than $289,000. What does that night look like to you? But anyway, she said, though your palate may not be used to it, tasty meat substitutes include vegetables, lentils, and beans. Plan to cut out the middle creature and consume plants directly. It's a more efficient, healthier, and cheaper way to get calories. Now I want to ask y'all a question. So far, she has told us to, I'm starting to lose track. Get rid of our car was the first thing she said, right? Yeah, get rid of our car. Now she's telling us to give up meat. Now here's my question to you. These are typically the same people who are sitting around crying about the fact that nobody is coming and patronizing them, basically. Just the other day, I did a video on this channel called Low Skill Workers Need You to Come In, because that's what the mayor of New York City said, that y'all need to get out of your pajamas and get back to work, that you can't work from home forever, and that the low income workers need you. They need you to come back because they depend on you for their survival. So this is typically the same bunch So, how does she think the car industry, well, they don't care either way. The car industry doesn't care if you sell your car or if you buy one, it doesn't matter. But the point is, if you're telling people, but actually, she said it certainly is not the time to buy a new or a used car. So, how do you think the auto industry feels about that? I'm sure they wouldn't appreciate you telling people don't patronize them right now. They need money too, right? They need us to come in or they won't survive. So that's interesting. She's telling us not to do business with auto industry right now. She's telling us not to do business with the meat industry. So what about the farmers? What about the farmers? What about the people who make their living selling meat? You're going to put them out of business. They need you. What do you mean don't eat meat? Don't the meat packers and people who work at the factories, and don't they need us to buy meat so they can have jobs? Right? Based on the same logic y'all been selling for like a year now. Very oddly too. I want to know where that's coming from. Very weird. But I'm confused and I'm starting to feel gaslit. I'm starting to feel like you people just you look at your bank account and go, okay, we need them to stay home. Then you look at your bank account again and go, oof, we need them to get back out. And so you just come up with these silly little narratives to justify whatever it is you need from us in this moment. So now they need us to stop eating meat. So how do you think that's going to impact the meat industry? I don't think they're going to appreciate, I don't think the meat industry is going to go, oh, thank you so much for not buying our products right now. We were really pressed. Right. And once again, with these weird statements, cut out the middle creature. Who talks like that? Exactly. People have been speaking very oddly lately. People have been saying some really weird things. Really, really weird things, like complete left field, oddball type stuff. I don't know what's going on. But that is a very weird thing to say. Plan to cut out the middle creature and consume plants directly. Girl, what? Who talks like that? Who says something like that? And I don't even think, because I feel like she would have told us, she seems like the type of person who would have told us. I don't think she identifies as someone who doesn't eat meat, which I always get confused between vegetarian and vegan, which is why I didn't want to say. I forget. I always forget the difference. Vegetarian, I think, means nothing but plants. And vegan means simply no meat or animal products. I don't know. I get them confused. But I think she would have told us if she was one of a vegan or a vegetarian. I don't think she is. I think she's saying, oh, I'm going to enjoy my meat. You need to stop eating meat. Yeah, isn't that weird? Plan to cut out the middle creature. Okay. Uh, Girl, you need to wake all the way up before you write your articles, okay? Give yourself like an hour for all those neurons to correct and connect, and then write your articles because that was weird. Okay, now for a part that I was really, really waiting on. These people are very strange. These are strange human beings, ma'am. It says, and stay away from buying in bulk. You usually don't save any money by buying more. Sure, there may be great deals, but most consumers wind up falling for the tricks that entice them to spend more. Things like offering free samples, which often leads to impulse buying, or placing discounted big ticket items near the entrance. If you absolutely must buy in bulk, try to do it with a friend so you can split some of the costs and ensure everything gets eaten or used. Okay. Where do I even begin with this one? So, our strategy session starts now. First of all, I want you to do the exact opposite of this. I actually want you to get into the habit of buying more than one of a thing that you use all the time. So, when I'm talking about that kind of stuff, I'm talking about things like toilet paper, paper towels, body wash, toothpaste, lotion, water, like if there's a certain type of water that you buy, water, anything that you buy repetitively. So nothing that's like a one-off purchase or random or something you buy like once every 6 months, but something that you find yourself in the store for. Basically, if it's 8 o'clock at night and you're out of fill in the blank, you're going to get in your car and go get it. That's what you need to be buying more than one of. And please don't let these people lie to you and talk you into not buying in bulk. Now, there's some strategy here with this. She's not entirely wrong about the whole things enticing you to buy other things that you see, but that's when you're in the store. You don't have to go to the store anymore. Costco delivers, I believe Sam's Club delivers, and these are not endorsements, nor are they implicit endorsements, although I am a pretty big fan of Costco. I do think their selection could be a little bit bigger, but I won't complain. But I do shop at Costco and actually just made a Costco purchase last night, actually. Please don't let these people lie to you. Buy in bulk, and as much as you're able, get it delivered. So what you're doing there is you're saving the trip. You're saving the trip out there, which also saves you in gas. So I think you should try it if you don't already bulk shop. It can feel a little weird at first because you feel like you're spending so much more money. But the thing about it is, when you run out, your next one is right there versus your next one being at the store. So this to me seems like some propaganda delivered to you by the grocery store industry, trying to beg you to come back. Like, please stop buying in bulk and please come make those inefficient, expensive one-time purchases. You bought one pack of toilet paper, one thing of water, one this, one that, and you'll be back next week. You might be back in 3 days, actually. Your objective is to go to the store as little as possible. That's your objective. Stay out of the store. And this is one way that you do it, by buying in bulk. But the trick is, see what they would like for you to believe. Here's one piece of propaganda that you'll often hear people say, well, I'm single or I live alone. Right. Who paid her to write this article? Right. I'm single or I live alone, so I don't need to bulk shop. You absolutely do, because you are your own little economy. Even if you live by yourself, you literally are your own small little economy. So it matters for you. You don't need a whole big old family. Like if you eat Fruit Loops and that's what you eat every morning, and you know for a fact you're going to eat Fruit Loops tomorrow morning and the morning after that, go buy bulk Fruit Loops. And here's the real trick. Here's the real secret, deep strategy. You need to invest in a vacuum sealer. Get a vacuum sealer. They sell them on Amazon. I'll link one that I like in the description box after the show. Maybe in the comment section, I'll link it. Super simple, easy to use. They make all kinds. They have some that are lower priced, mid priced, and high priced vacuum sealers. I highly recommend a vacuum sealer. That's what's going to take you to the next level. And that's what's going to take you further, even with your bulk shopping. Because let's say you do buy something like bulk cereal. Well, sure, if you got a whole bunch of boxes of cereal sitting there, eventually they might kind of go kind of stale. But if you have a vacuum sealer, you buy all your cereal, you vacuum seal it, and then you use it when you feel like it. And you can do that with a lot of different dry goods. So get a vacuum sealer. It works better than plastic containers, plastic wrap, foil, all that. Get a vacuum sealer and get into the habit of vacuum sealing things that otherwise would expire, but they won't once you vacuum seal them. And if you can afford it, spring for one that lets you vacuum seal like items that have like liquid in them. They don't all do that. Most of them are for dry goods only. But if you are able, see if you can get one, if you can afford it, that lets you seal up things that have some liquid in them. And then now you're ahead of the game. Now you're way out ahead of the pack. Okay. So there's that. But on top of all that, y'all, financial gurus of the past, I can't cite any directly. I would have to go dig it up. But they've always told us to buy in bulk to save money. Always. Because here's the bottom line. When you do the math on the price per unit, even if it's just a few cents cheaper, it's still cheaper. Now you got to try not to offset that with these extra purchases like she talked about. But if you can be disciplined, cheaper is cheaper, honey. And over time, it adds up. It absolutely does, which reminds me to make sure that you guys use coupons. I got to get back in the habit. I use the clip coupons every Sunday. It used to be a ritual for me. I would get up in the morning, I would go down to the gas station, I would buy a newspaper and some gummy worms, which they don't make them anymore in the brand I used to buy. And I emailed them and I said, "Why did y'all stop making gummy worms?" They said, "We never made gummy worms." I'm like, "What? What in the Mandela effect is this?" I know what I did. I know what I did. Like I would get up. Typically, I would get a 5-hour energy, some gummy worms, a Sunday paper, take the coupons out, clip them. I had a binder that had baseball card holders in it, and I had them sorted. I had tabs in there and everything, honey. I was so serious about my coupons, and I need to get back on it. So, most people's Sunday papers have coupons in them. Obviously, a lot of coupons have gone digital, but for some reason, like I feel weird about the digital coupons. I feel like they can one up me. You know what I mean? Like if you see my digital coupon, then you're just going to raise the price by 50 cents. So my digital coupon doesn't matter. But if I have a paper coupon, you don't see me coming. And see, that's what we call paranoia. And I don't want y'all to get paranoid like me, okay? Because that's probably not true. I honestly think that's all in my head. But in my mind, I'm like, if you can see all the digital coupons I have loaded, you kind of low key know what I'm interested in. So you're just going to go bump the price up 20 or 30 cents to offset the digital coupon. You're not slick, but I don't know that that's true. I don't think that actually happens. It's in my head. I just prefer paper coupons. It's a surprise. It's the element of surprise for me. Like, what's the total? What was that? $100? Bam, run that total again. Mm-hmm. Bloop. Mm-hmm. Bloop. Mm-hmm. Bloop. Mm-hmm. Bloop. Oh, you missed that one. Yeah, they were stuck together. Oh, sure did. Bloop. Mm-hmm. Bloop. Now what's my total? $78. Oh, thank you. That's more like it. That's appropriate. Okay. Along that line, and going back to the whole gas thing, places like Costco and Kroger, which is a grocery store, have fuel perks programs. And these are not paid promotions, though they should be. I highly recommend using those, signing up for those and using them, because even if you're only saving 10 cents per gallon, 10 cents per gallon is 10 cents per gallon, honey. And it adds up over time. I bet those fuel perks programs have been exploding right now. People who probably never used them before are signing up for them to use them. I think it's worth it, in my personal opinion, but that's just me. I use them and I have both of them. I have a Costco one and Kroger, and I use them both. And I fill out my surveys and get my free 50 points every single time. I sure do. Right. It says, "We thought grandma was strange. Now, as adults, we see the wisdom of the couponing grannies." Couponing is life, man. I miss it. I think I'm gonna restart it this Sunday, I think, because I'm telling you, it's the element of surprise. They don't see it coming. Okay, so fuel perks programs, coupons, all right, and yes, absolutely buying in bulk. Yes, anything that you buy repetitively. So don't do it with random stuff, and don't do it with. I really wouldn't do it with food either, unless it's something that you know for a fact you're going to use. For example, cooking oil. If you use cooking oil a lot, buy it in bulk. Okay. Disposables, those of you who use disposables like plates, plastic forks and knives, things of that nature, cups, buy it in bulk. You know you're going to use it. And it's not about the cost. What it's about is you're saving a trip. You don't want to make multiple return trips to the store. You're trying to save yourself a trip, basically, is what you're trying to do. Like, can I share with y'all one of my greatest fantasies in life? One of my greatest fantasies is one day having enough money to rent out basically like a medium-sized U-Haul, not a big one, like a medium-sized U-Haul, going to Costco and buying like anywhere between like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of stuff, but not random shopping spree type stuff. Like literally things I use: toilet paper, detergent, paper towels, body wash, lotion, toothpaste, cooking oil, coffee, plates, things of that nature. Buying like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of it, putting it in the U-Haul, and then hauling that to my house that I own, and like loading up this extra room, which is going to double as like my own little private grocery store, basically. That's fantasy. That's the fantasy, and that's the vision. That's one of my, oh man, like I have it all mapped out in my head. And there's racks in there. There's like metal racks in there, and there's aisles, and they're categorized. And the vision is, uh-oh, I need some body wash. Let me go down to my little miniature grocery store down here and just scoop up some body wash off one of the racks and go back upstairs. That's the vision. Okay? So, anyway, let's continue. Then she says to review your credit card to make sure there aren't any unwanted recurring charges. Listen, I'm going to need y'all to be a little bit more diligent about your finances. I know that sometimes things slip by us. Like sometimes you forget that you signed up for something, or there's so many transactions you just miss, like your Netflix charge or whatever. But please keep track of your recurring charges. Like you shouldn't, I guess my point is, no one should have to tell you this. Like, y'all, I just got through canceling my Apple iCloud storage subscription. They only charge $1.99 per month, but it just pissed me off. It was the principle. I just really got tired of them extracting $2 a month from me every month, because it literally goes from no, it was $2.99 a month for, I forget how many gigs of storage, and then the next jump up is $9.99. So I kept running out of storage even though I was paying for it. So I'm like, I'm already giving you $2 a month for this little raggedy storage. It keeps filling up. I keep trying to empty it out. It fills back up. I empty it out. So I really just got tired of that tug of war. And I really resented them extracting $2 a month from me, considering they're a multi-billion-dollar company. And that's probably how they got that way, that I just canceled it. And but that, you know, see what I mean? Like I didn't need anyone to tell me, hey, PTE, cancel that little $1.99, even though it's only $2 or whatever it was, $2 or $3. It adds up. No one had to tell me that. Like I've been chopping heads over here. I'm like, canceling you, you're getting canceling you, and you. Okay. But see, once again, she's dipping into the companies that make their money off recurring charges. You're going to hurt them. So what's going to be your advice to them when everyone cancels their Netflix account, which they might be getting ready to, because Netflix is getting ready to charge y'all for sharing your password. All right. They're getting ready to charge y'all. Now, and take note of how odd the progression is through this article. Sell your car, eat beans, stay away from bulk, look over your recurring charges on your credit card, and then she moves on to pets. Like, how weird are you? And once again, she never mentioned clothing, shoes, elaborate vacations, which she did mention, but she didn't mention it like a bad thing. She said people don't cut back on travel during inflation, but they do cut back on restaurants. Okay, shouldn't you be telling them to cut back on travel too? Nope, she never mentions it. For the ladies, makeup. For the fellas, maybe like sports or fishing or something. She didn't say give up any hobby. She said give up your pets before you give up a hobby. Did you notice that? She actually recommended that you give up your pets and meat before you give up that expensive little hobby of yours. That hobby that you really don't have to do, but you just do it because you enjoy it. It brings you joy. It just happens to cost you money. She didn't mention that, but give up your pet though. Like, what type of people are running this place? These are strange people. And often these are also like the hiring managers, you guys. I guarantee you she has a quote unquote team under her. So if your boss thinks like this, what type of success do you think you're going to have with them? I agree. She's striking me as kind of evil. Yeah, the chat says she's evil. She's striking me as evil, man. Like cold hearted, like completely hollowed out. Didn't even say give up your expensive golf habit or your expensive painting habit or your arts and crafts habit or whatever your hobby or habit is that costs you money. She didn't say to give that up, but give up treating your pet though. If your pet happens to need chemotherapy, which was such a jump. My God, we're such a long way from that. Like, she could have mentioned leashes. She didn't even say change your pet's food. You know how some people feed their pets very expensive food? She didn't even say that. She didn't say, listen, we know you want to feed Fido that $35 per bag food, but consider giving Fido some kibbles and bits for a few months, which is still just as cold and still equally as heartless. But she told you to give up your meat first before you even take it from your animal. But when it comes to the animal, just pretty much let it die or put it to sleep or give it away. But rethink those costly pet medical needs, though. Wow. So what about the vet? So you don't care about the veterinary industry then? You don't care about the vets. You don't care if they lose business behind people rethinking their costly pet medical needs? So you know what I would be interested to see? What advice they give business owners who are going through inflation, because this is advice is for us, regular people. So what advice would you give business owners who were like, if I was a vet and all of a sudden I'm not seeing as many patients as I once was, and I say, what happened? You say, oh, people are rethinking their costly pet medical needs. And I go, oh no. Well, the animals need to see their doctor, but also this is kind of killing my business. What would you tell me? Rethink being a veterinarian? Right? She didn't mention kids. Chat says she probably doesn't like kids either. She didn't even mention kids. Why didn't she just say cancel Christmas? Look, guys, cancel Christmas. I know you hate to see your kid cry. But look, this could be one of the first times they learn resilience, and they could develop an internal locus of control as they redirect all those negative feelings about having Christmas canceled on them. Why didn't you just say that? Look, guys, cancel Christmas, okay? It's not happening this year. Right. She didn't mention that either, or a booze habit. Alcohol, smoking, drugs, they all cost money. She didn't mention that. She didn't say anything about that. She would rather you let your animal be sick before she tells you to give up your habit or gambling. Nope. Just look, kids, Christmas is canceled this year, okay? I know, little Johnny. I know. Here's a tissue. Here's your Christmas gift, a tissue. Now use this tissue to wipe your Christmas tears. And we're going to talk about personal responsibility. And we're going to talk about how somehow you at age 10, this is your fault. We're going to make this your fault, Johnny. All right. We're going to talk about how you can help me give you a Christmas next year. And then she just closes the article. Coping with inflation could mean drastic actions or small ones. There are lots of ways people can duck and dance around relative price changes. The Bureau of Labor Statistics found people in recessions hold off on buying cars, furniture, and appliances, though they don't cut back on travel. They do cut back on restaurants, though. And you have nothing to say about that? You're an economist. Shouldn't you say, as an economist, I recommend you cut back on both to save money? But then now you're killing the travel industry and you're killing the restaurant industry. So this kind of like this is one of my main theses, theories, premises, whatever you want to call it, which is essentially we all need the same thing. We all need money ultimately. And we're all pulling on the rope trying to survive, but at the end of the day, the rope is just going to stand still because we are all pulling with the same equal force. Your survival is not more important than mine, and my survival is not more important than yours. So the rope is eventually going to be at a standstill because we're pulling with the same equal force. So once we understand that, where do we go from there? And how do we actually create a society that respects that fact? That respects the fact that truly, truly, we all need money. You don't need more money than I do, and I don't need more money than you do. We all need it. So how are we going to work this out? Because right now the mindset that's driving everything is my survival is more important than yours, and no, it's not. Just like your survival is not more important than mine. Okay? So, let's continue. Try to be as flexible and creative as possible. Scientists tell us our brain plasticity will improve by trying novel things, trying new things. She's basically saying get through this inflation by just being a little bit more open, okay? And try some new things. Jeez. You're so closed off. You're so like closed off. Like open yourself up and try some new things. There's an advantage to mixing up what you consume to cope with unusual price spikes. You become more resilient as you create a locus of control and interrogate your habits. And that's it. And then she was so kind to drop her email down here, as was her editor. I know that email is getting lit up. That email inbox is probably full at this point. It's got to be. It's got to be. And then there's sometimes I'm like, these people got to be writing this stuff just to get a reaction. They got to be trolling. But then when I read it and I take it in the sum total and not just little bits and pieces, they're not joking. They're absolutely serious. She's serious. She's serious. She meant every word. And then I just can't get over the fact that it just drops off and just ends right there. That's it. So I feel empowered. So I basically need to try new things. I need to cope. I need to not take care of my pets if they have some medical needs, just kind of let them shake it off, I guess. I need to check my credit cards to make sure there aren't any unwanted recurring charges. So basically, like, wow, so you could just be having some fraud going on, but because you're so inattentive, you don't know? Let me move on. Don't buy in bulk. So basically buy one by one, basically. So just buy exactly what I need and go home. And then when I run out of that in 2 days, go right back and buy a little bit more of what I need, which is also probably more expensive. That's another reason you're supposed to buy in bulk, because they like to inch the price up on you. So in a way, you kind of lock the price in for that item, even if it's only for that month. You've locked the price in before they raised it again. So yeah, when you go back next month, it might be a little bit more, but at least for the month before, you basically paid one price for that thing. That's why you buy in bulk. Please don't let this lady lie to you. Eat. Basically, you need to start eating like a rabbit. You need to get you some lentils, get you some beans, okay, and some water, and stop complaining. Like, wow, like people in other countries would be really happy to have that. And then you need to sell your car. And even if you have like a loan on it or something, or not a loan, a lease, or financing, just sell it, whatever. I'm sure the bank won't mind. Budget, because you didn't know to do that. And yeah, and good luck. Like, or you could always just make $300,000 and you wouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff. Like me. Me meaning Teresa, not PTE. So, yeah, the other takeaway is just earn more than $300,000 and you don't have to be bothered with inflation, guys. Jeez. Gosh. I mean, didn't you go to school? Like, can't you get a job that pays 300K? No? What do you mean? The economy's doing so good. So, anyway, wow, we've been here an hour and a half. I did not expect to be here this long. I meant to be here like 1 hour. But that just goes to show you these topics, they trigger me something serious. So let me run through a few strategies really quick and then we'll get out of here. I appreciate all your comments in the chat. Cannot wait to watch the playback and look at them all. Really enjoy reading your comments and seeing your thoughts. And I'm not going to get rid of this one. You all will just have to cope with the music since we're all about coping now. Just cope or fast forward, okay? But so obviously a very out of touch, emotionless, empathy less human being. Not sure how or why she published that. You can tell she doesn't have any friends that are rooted in reality that would have said, friend, I don't think you should publish that right now. I think people are probably a little bit too sensitive to receive an article like that with everything that they've just gone through. People have lost jobs, lost money. You know what I mean? Like, folks are going through it right now and they don't want to be told, well, you just need to budget. Girl, go to hell with your budget. You and your budget go to hell. Okay? So I had this thought after reading it the first time. These people believe in magic. And I don't mean the dark arts. I mean, they believe in fairy tales. They believe in magic. They really just think that all we have to do is just move a few things around and things will be fine. Like, oh, just move a few things around and you'll be good, right? Like they really don't get it. They really don't understand, which also leads me to know that they don't know or don't care or both the impact that their actions have on us. For example, when they raise rent, how much that can squeeze a person who already was only making but so much. Like, it's math. They don't believe in math, they believe in magic. And they just think that you magically will find some more money. You magically can just kind of like save here and scrimp there and pick up a little extra job there and make it all work out. These people believe in fairy tales and lies largely. And when you challenge them on those fairy tales and those lies, they typically get mad, angry, and they storm out of the room. That's their typical response when you try to explain to them there's more to the story here. Okay? So they obviously think we're stupid and really, really, really dumb. And and that some of these things never occurred to us before. Like, okay, if I find myself without a vehicle, what will I do? I don't know. Gee, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, here's an article. Oh, I could take public transportation. What a great idea. What a great idea. And it never occurred to me that if I suddenly find myself without a car, that I can make use of public transportation. That is legendary. Like, wow. Like, it's stunning. It's absolutely unbelievable. Very condescending and patronizing as well. And then again, of course, all the businesses that we're going to kill when we start doing the right thing by our finances. I think that paradox is fascinating to me. The paradox of, if I go out of business, it's your fault. And if you go out of business, it's your fault, meaning your personal private economy. So if your personal private economy tanks, that's your fault. But if my small business tanks, that's also your fault because you didn't come support me. What a paradox. Like, that is really, I feel like I need to flesh that out more, really get into that thesis a little bit more, because for me it's so crystal clear, and I want more people to be able to see that. Like, it's all on you. They've rested the burden completely on your shoulders. Like, you're the hero here. Do you understand? So if they open up a little pizza shop on the corner and that pizza shop goes out of business in 6 months, well, that's your fault for not going and patronizing the pizza shop. And then you say, but I don't eat pizza. I don't eat bread. I don't eat cheese. I'm not a pizza eater. And they're going to say, well, they have salad. That's what you're going to get. Well, they have salad. And it's like, well, I understand, but I kind of have a food routine. I'm kind of like on a kind of a diet a little bit, and I'm controlling my calories, and I just didn't want to deviate. Well, you could deviate and just show some support. Like these people. God, this is why I made my first channel, man. Permission to exist. This is why that channel exists. This is why that channel was born, man. Just this mindset that you belong to other people and you're supposed to do whatever they say and keep them alive and keep them supplied and keep them happy, but they are not returning that favor to you. And if you even so much as dare as ask them to be reciprocal towards you, they usually get angry, violent, and mean. That's why that channel was born. Like, these people are everywhere. And the general idea is, my survival is more important than yours. That is the basis and the root of narcissistic behavior and mentality. My survival, my happiness, my money, my pleasure, all of that is more important than yours. So you need to drop everything to give those things to me, because if you don't, you're like killing me. And they're like, okay, well, I'll help you, but are you going to help me? It's like, what? Help you? Like, they become indignant. They think they're kings. They think they're gods and goddesses, man, worthy of worship and complete total servitude. So anyway, a few more thoughts, mostly dealing around strategy, and then we're going to get out of here, okay? So first of all, do pretty much the opposite of everything that this article says, okay? Pretty much the opposite. I would never say don't budget, you know what I mean? And things like that. Of course, duh, at this age, you should already have some sort of budget going, some sort of plan. But other than that, like all this silly little don't shop bulk. I mean, if you have to sell your car, sell it, but I'm sure you already thought about that. You know what I mean? Do the opposite of what these people say, okay? If they come out and declare don't do something, you probably should do it. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. For months now, for months and months and months, they have been telling people, you need to buy a house right now. The market is hot, prices are through the roof. Like, they were telling them that, like, buy, 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 buy. All the gurus were saying, buy, you need to buy. The market's hot. People are moving out to the suburbs because they're working from home and their kids are home all day. They want yards, they want fences, they want porches, they want pools. Buy, 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 buy. And a lot of people did go out and buy, 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 buy. And now, this week and all last week, they're like, did people who bought a mortgage in the past 2 years make a mistake? Here's 3 stories from 3 different families. So basically, now they're basically saying the bubble's getting ready to pop, basically. And I'm like, wow, man, you people, they cannot be trusted, you guys. Like, man, I don't know who to tell you to trust. I honestly don't. But I'm telling you, like, these gurus who are propped up, mainstream, heavily supported, really pushed out there. You can't trust them, man. I'm telling you. Because just a few months ago, they were telling everybody to buy houses. Now they're coming out saying that you may have made a mistake if you bought in the past 2 years, meaning they're getting ready to lose a lot of money. The bubble's about to pop. So, someone who paid $500,000 for a house, that house is probably getting ready to drop down to $225,000 as these people start to offload these houses that they snatched up in the middle of all this. They keep doing the same thing over and over again. They don't learn from history. They never do. But people believed it. Those gurus told them to run out there and buy those expensive, overpriced houses. They did, and now the bubble's getting ready to pop. So, anyway, do pretty much the opposite of what these people say. That's the point of that. There's a video on this channel called Chinese Millennials Are Lying Flat, and you probably should too. I would say lie as flat as possible. I would never tell you to deny yourself or cause yourself pain or discomfort in any way. But as much as you are able to lie flat, darling, and stay flat until we bottom the system out. Lie flat. Participate as little as possible, okay? Now, I know for some of you that's going to be very challenging, especially if you have kids. It's going to be hard. You can't really explain to your kid, sweetie, mommy and daddy are lying flat right now, okay? I don't think your kid will fully understand that unless your kid is extremely enlightened. But yes, that is what caused the 2007-2008 housing bust. Yes, it is. And it's getting ready to happen again, according to the same economists who were telling people to run out there and buy. But lie as flat as possible. If you don't know what that means, do check out that live stream. I go into great detail about what lying flat is. So, and discovered that I'm actually slightly flat. And that's mainly because I will work and I will keep a job. But other than that, honey, flat AF. Okay. So figure out, and loving it too, by the way, but figure out what that means and lie as flat as possible. Bottom the system out. Certain things, like, for example, Netflix, I would just be thinking, like, do I really watch Netflix? Like, do you watch Netflix every day? Or do you watch it like on the weekends? You know, can you do without it for a little while? You know what I mean? Things like that, you know, drop them, get rid of them, bottom them out. Grow your own food for those of you who are able. Shout out to Blue, who actually sent me quite a few seeds. Thank you, Blue. I planted my chamomile. My chamomile is coming up, as are, what else did I plant? The chamomile. I think did you send me lettuce? Did you send me lettuce? I might be tripping. Well, anyway, the chamomile is coming up and I'm just making room for everything else. But, and I tried to plant the lupines, but they didn't work. So I got to try again. Anyway, as much as you are able, grow your own food. Listen, that means those of you even who live in apartments, if you have a back porch that gets some sunlight, you can grow tomatoes. You can grow bell peppers. You can grow a lot of little things, like just in 1 or 2 little pots on your back porch. It's all you need, I promise. Just make sure it's like a good size. You want a good size pot. Get some really great potting soil. People have all different types of preferences for potting soil, but fine. I use Miracle-Gro moisture control. I really enjoy that. It works well for me. Some growers absolutely hate Miracle-Gro. They don't like it. They use their own mixture. I have no problems at a Miracle-Gro, okay? But you use what works for you. They have organic soil. They have all kinds of soil out there. It's super cheap and inexpensive. It would cost you next to nothing to just go buy 1 or 2 pots, some potting soil, a couple of seeds, and put them on your back porch and let them grow. But those of you who actually have yards and houses, you have no excuse unless you're not allowed. I know some areas don't let you really like cultivate food. But If you have a yard, you have absolutely no excuse to not be growing food in your yard, especially right now. Especially right now. Okay. So do that. Trade as much as possible. I saw a post on the Nextdoor app the other day where some girl just started a post and she said, "Hey everyone, in times like this, people are really struggling. So post something that you need. And if someone has it and is willing to give it away for free, connect with that person and vice versa." And that thread was so long, you guys. And it really just made my heart so happy because people were like, I really could use a stroller. My stroller just broke. And someone was like, oh my God, I have this brand new stroller from my baby shower. My baby is 6 years old now. So we don't need it. We've been meaning to get rid of it, just haven't had time. It's all yours if you want it. Like people connecting for baby strollers, crates, tools, you name it. So think about doing something like that in your neighborhood, in your area. Make sure you want to do it safely. You don't want to like be meeting people in creepy, sketchy, weird places. But see if you can get something like that started in your neighborhood. Hey, everybody. Um, Post something that you're in need of. And if someone has it and is willing to let go of it for free, please swap. Let's start trading again with each other. Consider trading. If you have a skill or something and someone could use your skill, see if there's a skill that they have. So, for example, like if you do hair and they, I don't know, mow lawns, I don't know, my examples are not good, but maybe they could mow your lawn and you'll cut their hair and their kids' hair. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You guys know what I mean, though. See if you can get that going. I think that would be really awesome. It'll be almost impossible for these people to regulate that. Almost impossible. Use coupons where you can. And then finally, and this is probably the most controversial piece of advice. So I would highly encourage you to examine your own financial situation and make the decisions that are going to be best for you. So I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just saying it's an option. You could always stop paying certain bills. Now, listen, we live in a system where when you stop paying certain bills, bad things happen. They do. They knock your credit, they send you to collections, and depending on how much it is or what it is, you might even end up in court being sued over that particular debt. So I gave that one dead last on purpose, hoping, most people probably won't make it this far in the video, but I'm not saying for you to go do that. I'm saying it's an option, guys. It's an option, you know? It is. Like they've ruled by threat for a very long time, and it has worked for a very long time. So, I guess what I'm saying is at this point, what do we have to lose? Unless you have a very, very good credit score that you're trying to maintain, and I don't blame you, it's like once you fall from that, there's almost no recovery. So because they make recovery so hard, you should make them getting their money a little bit more challenging. Make it hard for them. Like, I'm serious. Like, make it hard. Like, if they're going to make your life miserable for missing a bill by a few days, they flip out. They're charging late fee. I'm going to report you to your creditor. At some point, you just break a person's spirit and you just go ahead, honey. What are you going to do? You're going to put it on my credit? All right. Cool. It doesn't matter. Like literally that whole home buying experience, after I paid off all them cards and did all that fancy footwork, trying to get my credit score to a certain point to qualify, realizing how very hard it was to actually get that needle to move, but also realizing that it's based on percentages. So For example, one card was charged up to like 90%. They said, we want you to bring that paid off down to 30%, but don't go below 30% because that'll look bad. I'm like, so if I pay it off to zero, that'll look bad. She said, yes. I said, okay. And then same thing for a different card. Okay, this one's pretty good. This one's at like 60% of the balance. So pay this one down to like 50%, but don't go any further than that. And when I realized what a dog and pony show it really is, I just kind of stopped caring, you guys. When I realized that paying this off doesn't jump my score up 100 points, paying this on time every time for 5 or 6 or 7 years straight meant nothing. Paying my rent on time for not decades, I'm not that old. Oh my God, wow. Paying my rent on time ever since I've lived on my own counts for nothing, means nothing. Paying a car off in the past, that means nothing, means nothing. All these other things mean nothing. Paying my cell phone bill means nothing. Paying my internet bill means nothing. Nothing. So that's kind of what has created the person that's speaking to you today, telling you, look, if it comes down to it, just stop paying certain bills. Screw them because they don't care about us. They do not care about us. They don't give a shit. So who cares if they hit your credit 10 or 15 points? It was going to get hit anyway the next time you missed a payment or you didn't get it right in on the due date. It's such a Xanatos gambit. It's such a tightrope walk. And there's no net down there that some people just slip off the rope on purpose and just be like, whatever, dude. Yeah, I'll sprain my ankle when I hit the ground, but it'll heal. Messing around with y'all, you'll never get out this hole. So again, I'm not encouraging you to be irresponsible, to not pay your bills. If you have a great credit score, maintain your credit score because God Almighty, like, it's like the only thing that matters anymore. And even then, it doesn't matter. I read a tweet the other day. Some guy, he was like, he's a doctor. He's a resident physician. He was trying to buy a house. He made $50,000. He made a $50,000 offer over the asking price and let go of all his contingencies, meaning like special requests for the house. And even he got outbid on this particular house. So if doctors who can go 50K over asking are getting outbid over houses, what motivation is there for me to maintain mine? You see what I mean? I'm not saying I'm not going to try. Like, I'm going to try to hang in there. But hell, even the doctors can't buy houses right now. So what exactly am I paying you on time for? So again, please be responsible. Please take care of your financial responsibilities. I'm just a human being who is so over this system and so over these people. I just don't care. There's just certain ones I just don't care. I'm like, yeah, it's late. I know. Unless you're coming to arrest me, I got no. I don't know what you want. So, because it's the principle of the matter for me. It's a principle issue. So anyway, don't be like me, kids. Pay your bills, okay? Pay your bills, all right? Pay your bills, pay your bills. But with that, I appreciate you guys on this Thursday afternoon. This was lots of fun. I cannot wait to go look at all your comments on the playback. I appreciate you guys being here and I appreciate your engagement so much. And with that, I'm going to close the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. And we will talk again very, very, very soon, okay? Bye.